Good morning, all of you. This is my video on comparative development strategies of India, China, and Pakistan. Now, if you look at the map, you find that we have neighbors India, Pakistan, and China. Why do you think we are only taking these three countries? The main reason is that all these three countries, if you look at the political map, they are almost neighbors. Secondly, here you have India, Pakistan, and China. Now, another point is that there are certain similarities between India, China, and Pakistan. And the similarities which we have, that geography has made us neighbors, history has made us friends, and economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies. Those whom God has so joined together, let no man put asunder. This is a statement made. Now, why do you think we are talking about these things? The reason is that every country has certain resources which are abundant in a country, and there are other things which are deficient in the country. Now, in the modern world, the countries they form groups, regional and global economic groups to help each other out. Such groups are like you have SAARC, European Union, ASEAN, G8, G20, etc. All these groups have come together so that they can help towards the development of each other. Let me take the example of SAARC. SAARC is basically your Indian subcontinent. You have the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Now, like this also we have many other organizations also. But the main purpose is that for every organization, what we try is we are trying that there should be mutual cooperation between the three countries. In our study, we are confining ourselves to India, China, and Pakistan. These are the three flags. This is India, this is China, and this is Pakistan flag. Now the question is, there are two economies almost similar to India, and the comparison is being made between them. Now the first thing is, when we talk about the comparison, we find that all the three countries, they got independence almost at the same time. India and Pakistan in 1947 and China in 1948. All the three countries adopted a similar strategy of development. It was a mixed economy model, especially for the case of India and Pakistan. It was very, very similar. Both had mixed economy model. Both gave importance to the public sector, and the public sector was assigned the key role of starting the process of economic growth, and the private sector was given a secondary role of pushing the process of the economic growth. Now, the question is, why do you think the public sector was assigned the key role? The main reason is that both the countries, India and Pakistan, were affected by the partition, and both had slow, backward economies. Both the economies, they needed a big push of investment, and this investment could not be given by the private sector. Firstly, it was too risky, and secondly, that no private sector unit was ready to put so much of money in it. As a result, it was only the government who could take this much of investment. In case of China, it adopted a more rigorous model of growth. It established in 1948, it established the People's Republic of China. And as we know, there's only uh, one single political party in China. All the activities were kept under the government control. This particular model is what is called as statism. It was given by Stalin, so it was called statism. The main objectives were ownership of resources were with the state. The state would decide the central problems. As we've done in class 11, central problems include what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. So all these things were decided by the government. Now, another thing which was important thing was that in both the three countries, China, India, and Pakistan, we were giving more importance to the public sector. Secondly, the three countries used the policy of inward looking strategy of growth. Now, if you remember in the chapter in development from 1950 to 1990, we have explained this point what is inward looking trade strategy. We were trying to protect our domestic industry so that it does not face competition with the foreign foreign companies. We wanted our domestic companies to grow. This was the condition in India and Pakistan. We were trying to shield our domestic industry. Whereas in China, it was like a closed economy. As a result, there was no interaction with the outside world. There was no option given to the consumer. Consumerism was not there. There was no option given to the consumer. As a result, under all conditions, whatever was being provided to the people, they had to take that. In China, all the resources were under the command of the government, whereas in India and Pakistan, there was both private ownership as well as public ownership. Now, if we look at it, we find that the, beyond these three similarities, China took a different path, India took a different path, and Pakistan and India had more or less a similar path. So we'll start with the condition in China. What China did was, after 1949, in case of China, after the establishment of People's Republic of China under one-party rule, all the critical sectors of the economy, enterprises and land was owned and operated by individuals were brought under the government control. This was done under Mao. Now, the different strategies which China adopted from time to time, the main three strategies which we have for the case of China is the first is what is called as the Great Leap Forward. Now, under the strategy of Great Leap Forward, campaign was started in 1958. It aimed at industrializing the country on a massive scale. And the first thing what they did in this was, land was controlled by the government. They divided the land into communes. There were around 26,000 communes. The land was cultivated by the people. A certain part of the harvest was kept by the people, and the remaining was to be given to the government. This was the most important point of Great Leap Forward in case of agricultural sector. On the other hand, when we talk about this sector, we find that they set up the strategy of industrialization, and in the process of industrialization, they said that you have to set up every house must have some industry set up in their backyards. So, on one hand, they were trying to cover the agricultural sector, improving the agricultural sector, agricultural production, and on the other hand, they was giving importance to industrialization. This was the main reason why China has done better than India and Pakistan. Now, this strategy of Great Leap Forward, we find that it was not very successful because there was a severe drought which killed around 30 million people. As a result, it was not successful. On the other hand, when we talk about the great proletarian movement, we find that in the great Mao introduced the great proletarian cultural revolution from 1966 to 76, under which the students and professionals were sent to work and learn from the countryside. They had to work in the countryside. This was upliftment of the rural area, but this was not very successful because of the simple reason that there were some uh, conflicts between Russia and China. As a result, Russian government asked their professors to come back to Russia, and so this was not very successful. Now, when Mao came to power, his main idea was to modernize the Chinese economy, and under this step, he introduced certain reforms, and these reforms were introduced in certain steps. The first step was it introduced now the communes which were there, these were divided into now plots. And every plot, one plot was given to one family. Now they had taken a different course of action in agriculture. Now, certain amount of money, a fixed amount of money was to be paid to the government, and the remaining of the harvest could be kept by the family. So commune system was abolished, and now communes were divided into plots. So individual family had a plot, they could work on it. Certain amount of money could be given to the government, and the remaining had to be kept with the family. This was one thing. Then this next thing which we find is that in the initial phases, they were allowed to keep all the income from the land after paying stipulated taxes, which I have explained that they had to give to the government. When we talk about industries, it was done in phases. The reform process also involved dual pricing. Dual pricing means fixing the prices in two ways. All the farmers and industrial units were required to buy and sell fixed quantities of inputs and outputs on the basis of the prices fixed by the government. जहाँ पे ज़रूरत होती थी वहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट प्राइसेस फिक्स करती थी, और बाकी जो चीज़ें थी जो कंज्यूमर गुड्स आपके लिए थे, जो कंज्यूमर गुड्स थे, उनकी प्राइसेस जो है वो मार्केट मैकेनिज्म से चलती थी. Over the years, as production increased, the proportion of goods or inputs transacted in the market was also increased. अब इन्होंने क्या किया, इन्हें फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए था एफडीआईज के लिए. दे सेटअप स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स, और ये जो इकोनॉमिक जोन्स इन्होंने सेटअप की थी, इसमें इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा फैसिलिटीज देनी शुरू कर दी थी. जैसे सबसे बड़ी चीज़ थी जो इंडिया ने नहीं दिया था, इन्होंने इकोनॉमिक जोन्स में जो है रिटेलिंग सेक्टर में एफडीआई इंक्रीज जो है एक्सेप्ट कर लिया था, और मोर देन 51% ऑफ इक्विटी जो थी ये इनकी इंक्लूड हो रही थी. As a result, you find that there was tremendous increase in the development of China.